Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. It is International Workers' Day, so let's talk about how workers here in Canada and broadly around the world have been treated during this pandemic. For starters, let's talk about something that Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said yesterday. He said, "As we finish the fight against COVID-19 and build back better, we're going to create jobs and growth for everyone. We're going to create apprenticeship opportunities for young people, help women get back to work, and make sure entrepreneurs can get the funding they need." He then followed that up with, "We're also going to make it easier for persons living with disabilities to find good jobs and access programs, and we're going to invest in Indigenous peoples, racialized Canadians, and the LGBTQ2 community too. #Budget 2021. So let's talk about some of this real quick. First off, if you're going to build back better, then you shouldn't have formed that secret committee with the oil and gas lobby, as I pointed out however long ago it was. Secondly, in terms of creating apprenticeship opportunities, that's less of what a lot of young people need right now, and they need support. If you want to get young people into the workforce and starting to save and have them be able to buy homes in this increasingly BS housing market, then maybe, I don't know, cancel their student debt? Maybe, I don't know, make post-secondary education free? These are additional investments you can make in people. That means that for a fraction of the cost, we get an even more educated populace, which means they're also coming out of school without any kind of financial burden and can already start saving and investing directly back into the economy. I thought you people were supposed to be capitalists here. But what really galls me the most about the follow-up was, we're going to make sure disabled people can get jobs. So a lot of disabled people live on disability, which is a fraction of like a poverty wage. It keeps them in poverty. I've discussed this in several previous videos. You are keeping these people into poverty, and this idea of we're going to make sure that they have jobs. How are you going to make sure they're actually accessible and that employers won't be able to fire them for really arbitrary reasons like, oh, sorry, you were late 3 times, so guess we got to let you go? There's no mention of how to actually manage this and promote the health and safety and well-being of disabled Canadians. And you're talking about Indigenous people and supporting them, despite boil water advisories continuing to this goddamn day. And that's not saying anything about all the abuses that natives continue to suffer because we are polluting their water, polluting their land, just completely ignoring their title to the land and just reaping the monetary rewards from it, from timber, mining, whatever it is. And we also continue to systematically abuse Native men and women and send them to jail and ensure that they do not have the services they need in their communities. And then we love to say, oh, see, that's why, oh, it's so bad. And we're the architects of that. And there's no mention of addressing that, despite saying, you know, we take reconciliation very seriously. You've had how many goddamn years to act on that? Pony up already. But this is supposed to be about Labor Day. So let's talk about how you, Justin Trudeau, have truly helped workers during the course of this pandemic. So briefly, the NDP forced you to have a conscience, and so things were good. The CERB was expanded to more people, there was the emergency wage subsidy, and things were okay. But then you started listening to lobbies and, oh no, we gotta open up the economy again, even though it's unsafe to do so, and we don't have contact tracing, and we don't have our own vaccine manufacturing set up, and we don't have enough vaccines in general, but we should still open up. And yeah, you know what? For once in the federal government's life, we're going to say, nope, hands off, total provincial jurisdiction, while probably counting on the fact that most of the country, provincially anyway, from coast to coast, is run by conservative premiers. From Alberta all the way to goddamn New Brunswick, it is a sea of provincial blue. Oh yeah, jurisdiction. I totally trust the guys who, you know, love business more than people to safeguard the well-being of Canadians. And that's why life totally sucks in Ontario and Alberta and to a certain extent Quebec. Like, This is so infuriating. The premiers have failed to protect workers, and you as the federal government have failed to protect workers. Brian Pallister, Scott Moe, Doug Ford, Jason Kenney, all are saying, well, no, we got to get workers back to work. And they're sending us, many of us from a variety of ages and demographics, into the workforce to face a bunch of people, many of whom don't even believe and respect masking as a public interest. People have to go out there and deal with these assholes and with numerous other people, high contact, often in close quarters because, oh, well, it's a cost-cutting measure, so we're just going to have people shoulder to shoulder. You've done that, and the same with children in schools. And you are saying, oh, no, we need to reopen, we need to get things going. But yet, these are the people who are not being vaccinated. Because again, you failed as a federal government to secure supply and have a robust domestic program, as well as the premiers totally messing up by having millions of doses sitting in freezers. And yet you claim to love small businesses. And already, right, in those tweets, we're talking about entrepreneurs and business and scholarships. What about the actual people? The workers who work for these small businesses, the people who are actively trying to do their best, like me, but have to go out and work full-time hours, shoulder to shoulder with people in warehouses, meatpacking plants, grocery stores. This is irresponsible. It is completely irresponsible. And the gall with which you have to say that we're going to build back better as you continue to abuse natives, as you continue to ignore doing the right thing and implementing things like UBI and canceling student debt. And all it would take is a simple wealth tax on the handful of billionaires who made over $40 billion over the course of this pandemic without lifting a finger. They didn't shift around investments or anything. They sat there and did nothing and made $40 billion. And when the NDP proposed a laughably modest tax increase on the ultra wealthy, never mind the relatively wealthy, just the ultra wealthy, you and the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois all looked us in the face and said no. So I do not buy for 1 second that you actually have the interests of your average working Canadian at heart, because it's been clear by your actions and the actions of all these premiers who you claim to work with and cooperate with. It is so clear from your actions over the past year that you do not care about us. The blood of thousands is on your hands. You and your irresponsibility and your listening to capitalist greed and excess and refusing to do the right thing because that would upset our lobbyists and some of our donors, and we can't have that. That alone should condemn you and your party and many of the other parties who voted against these interests and actually protecting workers. It should condemn you to the dustbin of history. Because we've seen in the past, with the rise of workers in the Industrial Revolution, this holiday, this day of action became necessary because of your abuses and your excuses. And the fact that you are continuing to make them today, on this very most solemn day, is absolutely what's bothering me today.